Today we geek out about animal kingdoms. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Lee with Geek City USA here, and today we're going to talk about a game called Animal Kingdoms. Now this is by Stephen Aramini and published by Galactic Raptor Games. It's a game for 1 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, and plays in about 45 minutes. Now in this game you take on the role of a house leader, and you're trying to gain influence in the 5 kingdoms using the noble beasts that have pledged their allegiance to you. So we're going to run you over here. I'll give you a brief example on how the game is played, and we'll come back and I'll give you our thoughts on the game. Alright guys, this is Animal Kingdoms. Now first things first, this is a prototype copy of the game, so there are some things that are going to change here. For example, currently these are just thick cards with 2 different boards, the scoreboard and the game board. These are going to be a standard board game style, thicker and foldable board. In addition, some of the graphic design here I think is set to change, as well as these decree cards are going to be much larger. And then some of the colors will be changed to be more colorblind friendly. And also there's a deluxified, or not deluxified, but a deluxe version that has animal meeples instead of these regular cubes. So definitely check out the Kickstarter page for what the final product will look like. Now I've already gone ahead here and I set up the game for 3 players. And when you do that, you're going to take 3 first to withdraw tokens. Now each of these have a different monetary value to them, and that's used for final scoring. And in addition, you will put the first place tokens out here. Now what these are is whoever has the area majority in an area each round gets to take the lowest one, and these are set up lowest to highest in each area. Also, each player will get 4 cards, and then you are going to set out these decree cards. And there's quite a few of them in this deck for the prototype, and I assume that there are going to be as many, if not more, in the final version of the game. There's a ton of replayability here in this game with the different options of the Royal Decree cards. Now if you look here, each of these decrees are going to tell you something. In this case, no other kingdoms ranked. Now when you play a card here, you're going to notice these cards are going to be different suits and different beasts, different colors, as well as different numbers. And you're going to play those to an area, but you have to meet the criteria. So for example, if I wanted to play a card over here, it has to be an even rank, or in other words, a 2, 4, 6, and so on. Now if I want to play here, every card in this area has to be a different rank and different beast. So if I played this wolf that was a 2 here, I couldn't play a 6. Even though it's a different rank, I am repeating the wolf, so I wouldn't be able to play that. But I could play this, I don't know if it's a raccoon, I'm not real good with my animals, but I'd be able to play that there, but then I wouldn't be able to play another 2, 7, or either of these suits. So you'd have to continue on from there. In this case here, no other kingdoms rank, so if there was a 7 here and a 2 here, I couldn't play a 7 or a 2 into this section here. In this one here, a same rank or beast once the first card is played here. And let me give myself a little more room here. But once I play this guy here, for example, I would have to either play another 7 or match this beast here. And then here in this case, I've got 1 to 8, no skipping. When you play this, you'd have to start with the number 1, and then you'd be able to play a number 2 later on, and so on. Now when you play, you have 3 different options for actions that you can do. Now the first thing that you're able to do is to claim a territory. Now when you claim a territory, and we'll say we're the purple player here, you're going to look at your hand, and in this case we have a 1, 7, 5, and 3 of each of these different suits, and you're going to want to play to one of these areas. Now when you play to these areas, wherever you play, let's say in this case I play here because I have a number 1, and this I need 1 to 8. You are going to take one of your cubes and put them into one of these circles. Now, each area has its own number of circles, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, you will place into these golden circled areas until the area is full, and once the area is full, you cannot place any more into that area, any of the players. And also, if you'll notice here, some of these have crowns in them. As soon as you are, like, let's say, for example, let's just say that all this area was filled up here. Whoever places in the crown spot is forced to withdraw. Now, if you withdraw, you are out for the remainder of that round. You would take a first to withdraw token and just kind of hold on to it for later when you score. In this case, the purple player played that, so they would hold on to that till the end of the game, and this would go towards their final score at the end. Now, in addition, and kind of getting ahead of myself here a little bit, when the next round starts, they would move up to one of these two areas above the crown. These areas you never place in except at the end. And that counts the final scoring. I'll kind of get into that more in a minute here. I just wanted to show how this worked when you've placed your cubes there. But let me go ahead and clear these out, and I'll show you a couple of the other action examples here. So I'll leave this cube here. This would be the play a card, or actually claim a territory action. Now, after I play a card here, I would draw back up to my max hand size of 4. Another option that you could do is you can rally. So let's say I was this player here, and for whatever reason I couldn't play any cards, or I didn't want to, I could choose to rally. Now, when you rally, you basically get 1 point for free, so this player would get on the board, and you can discard as many cards as you want from your hand. You can discard one or all of your cards and just set them aside here. I'll set them off camera, and you can draw back up to a full hand. Now, that's your second option. Your third option is to withdraw. On your turn, you can say, you know what, I'm not going to play any more cards. I'm not going to score anymore. I'm going to withdraw, and you can take one of these first to withdraw tokens. Now, once you withdraw, you are out for the remainder of the round. And as soon as somebody withdraws, either this way or by filling out these areas, and again, I'll touch on that one more time in a minute, but once somebody withdraws, nobody else may rally for the remainder of that round. So for example, if the orange player decided I am going to withdraw, they would take their green withdraw token, and then they can look at it, but they're going to want to keep that secret till later, so nobody knows what points they have. Now, nobody else can rally, so these two players have an option. They can either withdraw, or they may continue to try to claim territories. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this one back up there, because let's say this player instead is going to play a card here, and we'll just play a 4 here, same rank or beast, and they can place one of their tokens here. Draw back up, they have 4 cards, and it moves on to the next player. The next player here is going to go ahead and continue to play. No other kingdoms ranks, so they can play an 8 there. Actually, let's play here, same rank or beast. They actually cannot. If you look at what they have in their hand, they need a 4. So let's just say this player places here, draws their hand up. And we'll go over to this player here. Do we have a matching rank or beast? We do not. So, they can play elsewhere, all different ranks and beasts. They can play, or no other kingdom's rank. So they could just place that 5 here, draw back up, and this person can put a cube there. Now, let's fast forward to the end of the round. Let's say that, again, like I did a minute ago, let's say it is now orange player's turn, and the orange player decides that they could play the same rank or beast. They have a 4 here. They're going to play that, okay, and they can draw back up at the end of their turn, but they'll place this token here. Now, by placing here at the crown, that's considered the capital city. This player is forced to withdraw, so they would take their first to withdraw token, and they are done. Now, the other players are going to continue to play cards and try to get area control of different areas until, again, another player places in a capital city or withdraws. Now, once that happens, the third player could continue on until they decide to do the same thing, and then the round is over. Now, when it comes to the end of age scoring, what you're going to do is count up to see who has the area majority. In this case, you're going to start with the smallest kingdom and move around, but in this case, orange has the most, so they're going to get this first place tile of 5 points, and they can go ahead and take 5 points. Second place would be given to the white player, and they would get 3 points. So we'll take them up to 4. Now, if there was another player here, they would get 1 point. So it's always the first place, which is the token here, second place gets 3, and third place gets 1. Now, the person who is in the capital city here gets to move up here, and they go on to the council. And I'll talk about that in just 1 second here. So let's continue here. Again, in this case, purple is going to get 5 points because they are the first place player. And then white would get second place, so they would get 3, 1, 2, 3. And then there's no orange, so they don't get any. And the purple moves up to the council. And then so on, we'll continue to score, and they move up. Now, what this means is, when you set up for the future rounds here, and let's say this was another round, the round was over, when you are counting your end of round scoring, you would look here and you would say, okay, White has 2, orange has 2, but because orange has somebody on the council, they actually get the area majority for this, so orange would get this token. So it's basically a good way to build in support for future rounds, which is really good when you're looking at an area, a kingdom that has a high score, so like 10 points. This would probably be one that a lot of people want to be the person to play last here. So there's a lot of strategy in how you're playing and whether or not you're building up too quickly, because you want to be the one to take that last area. Because even if you have the majority, like let's say in this case, white has the majority but purple squeaked in here, purple would actually get to move up there late and have that benefit for later on. But you would continue on, you'd score everything. Now, if there's ever a tie, you play a battle, and then when you play a battle, you kind of play like a mini game of war. So let's say, in this case, white and orange were tied here, so nobody would get this token. So they would play a game of, or a battle, which is the highest suit would win, except for the numbers go from 1 to 8. 1 actually beats 8. So in this case, the white player would put this one down. The orange player would probably put their highest one down, which is a 7. And then they would both flip. And in this case, the white player would win, and they would get the first place token on that. And then these cards would get discarded. Now, the person who wins that battle does not get to draw up their hand. So now they're down to 3 cards left in their hand, and they would take their token. But the loser player, they have their 3 cards. They would get to draw their hand back up. And the reason that this is important is if there's further battles in some of these other areas, like right here, where there's white and purple, if this was tied like that, well, white is now at a disadvantage because they only have 3 cards, whereas purple has 4 cards. So it's a cool additional mechanic to the overall gameplay. Now, when your round is finished, you'll go ahead and you'll take all of your cubes back, everything except for what is in the council spaces at the top. So let's just throw a few of those here. I think I stole a couple. And believe me, when you actually play a game of this, all of this is going to get filled up. There's a lot that happens on this board, believe it or not. And then you'll discard all of these decrees. You'll discard all of the royal beasts. And you'll go ahead and you'll flip up some more royal decrees, and you'll see that they are all quite different. This round completely different than the last. The last round there's a lot more text. This one there's a lot more, there's more pictures. So in this case, this one has to be one of these 2 suits, as does this one, these 2 types of beasts. This one needs to be the number 4 or 5, and so on. And then you will go ahead, and the person who is in last place is the person who takes the first turn, and you continue on. These would all be gone because people would have come in first and second, whatever. Your points would be scored, and you continue. Person in last place, like I said, is going to start the next round, and you continue on and do the end of round scoring and move your cubes up for the council for the future rounds, for the 3rd round, and continue on. And you continue until the end of the 3rd age, and at that point, the person with the highest score is your winner. That, in a nutshell, is how to play Animal Kingdoms. I'm going to take you over here, and I will give you our thoughts on the game. All right, so that was Animal Kingdoms. Now, let me again remind you that that was a prototype copy of the game, so definitely jump over to the Kickstarter page and take a look what the final version will look like. I will say, though, that the art definitely pops. It was a very welcoming game and a very engaging game from a visual perspective. This was a game that was easy to put to the table and definitely drew the interest of everybody that we introduced it to based on the graphical appeal alone. Now, Animal Kingdoms does a great job at taking gameplay elements that really appeal to strategic gamers and gamers like myself, people looking for a little bit of crunch to their games, while also making the game extremely accessible to people who maybe aren't gamers at all, or to younger gamers. For example, we were able to play this with our kids. They were able to pick up on it right away and really enjoy the gameplay. And we played it with my mother-in-law over the holidays, and it was something that she was able to jump into, and she absolutely fell in love with it. So it's a game that is accessible to all. It's light enough that it can meet the appeal to non-gamers, but there's enough to it that gamers can enjoy it as well. The replayability factor in this game is very high because of the decree cards. Every game, those are going to be randomized. You don't know which ones you're going to play. You don't know where they're going to be on the board. And a lot of them are going to interact with the other decree cards on either side of it. Some may say you can't match the suit or value of one of the decrees or one of the kingdoms on either side of you. So that's really going to change your gameplay from game to game, as well as help you to use different strategies and bring different strategies to the table when you play. So based on that, every game felt really fresh. There's also a really good solo mode to the game. Whereas some games, the solo mode feels kind of pasted on or an afterthought, the solo mode of Animal Kingdoms really feels engaging. It feels like you're playing Animal Kingdoms. You don't feel like you're missing out on any of the game. You feel like you're as engaged as though you have a number of people at the table playing with you. Obviously, you're not having the table banter back and forth, but the game is just as enjoyable and it still is a lot of fun in its solo capacity. Now, all in all, we really enjoyed this game. I love the fact that there's enough game here that gamers can enjoy the strategy to it, but at the same time, it's light enough that you can introduce non-gamers to it, all the while kind of tricking them into learning new elements like area majority or area control. I definitely can't recommend this game enough. I would highly recommend you go check out the Kickstarter for more information on this game. All right, guys, that's it. I'm Lee with Geek City USA. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Definitely like and subscribe if you don't already. It definitely helps us out, as well as check us out on the other social medias. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we have a Facebook page. We'd love to interact with you there. Drop us a line. Just say hey, let us know you're out there, and we'd love to interact with you guys. So again, thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you next time. Cheers.